Hello everyone, I'm Jupy, a long-time Dead by Daylight player, Prestige 100 Xenomorph, and Prestige 100 Springtrap main, who occasionally dabbles in Kaneki. Now yes, I've been gone a while, largely because my PC basically died, so I couldn't really run anything that wasn't really an indie game on it, and so had to find something else to do with my life besides university and work. I did fill that time with playing Legends Zygarde, and even got the Shiny Charm, which if you've played the game, you know that's a fucking chore to do, but I digress. After 1.5k into new PC parts, I'm back recording videos, and just in time too, because we've got a brand new PTB surely full of good decisions by behavior. Actually, this time we've got some weird stuff to analyze. For starters, this update is where DBD is testing the anti-tunnel and anti-slugging changes again, and surprisingly, they're actually semi-okay now? Wow, who would have thought punishing people for having agency was a bad idea? Now, before we discuss any of these, I need to discuss the elephant in the room, however, and that's that they nerfed my literal favorite perk in the game for absolutely no reason. Furtive Chase, my beautiful boy, what did they do to you? I won't hide it. I am the biggest Furtive Chase Friends to the End fan. It's been my favorite combo since they reworked Furtive, and I use it so much, it's literally my most used perks in DBD, period. Literally, my top 3 perks are all ones I use in tandem, and I adore them. Furtive Chase right now basically means when you hook the obsession, you get 10% haste and undetectable for 18 seconds. Its entire perk design was around spreading hooks and providing the means to move across the map to get to the next survivor fast. It effectively added the base kit anti-tunnel mechanics that behavior is too lazy to do themselves. It was extremely healthy for the game though, as it basically meant to really get value you needed both Furtive Chase and Friends to the End, and the combo itself was easily countered by Calm Spirit and Lockers. But behavior views these new anti-tunnel incentives as too overpowered with the effects of the current Furtive Chase. The rework now makes it a full-on stealth perk, with it giving a stack up to 5 times each time the obsession is hooked, and giving 10% reduction to your terror radius permanently. Now I did test this for about 2 hours on the PTB, and while it is fun to use, and paired with Monitor and Abuse gives some crazy terror radius ranges, it honestly should have just been a whole ass new perk instead of ruining Furtive Chase. Check this out though. Another minor change in this update that's kind of stupid is a buff to Myers, making Slaughtering Strike have literally no turning restrictions. I'm sorry, that's so fucking dumb. It's literally a better insta-downing Pig Strike now. Look at this dumb shit. Bro, that's fucking dumb. No restrictions on that is dumb as fuck. And it would all depend on your DPI as well. Fuck. See if I can just fucking just flick my mouse and just go fucking 360. How does that look? How is that part of the game? We also finally got changes to the Styptic Agent and Anti-Hemorrhagic Syringe. Finally, these items were absolutely miserable to play against if the survivor had even half a brain cell and took next to no skill to use, so I'm glad they're being touched. The Styptic Agent now, instead of being bottle time and giving endurance for 5 seconds, now acts as a permanent efficiency buff to healing yourself rather than something that gets consumed. This is far more balanced, as previously you just have someone pop it, vault a window, and then you're in a lose-lose scenario. You get no value whether you swing or not, because endurance doesn't let you grab either. It's just a shit situation. Good riddance. Anti-Hemorrhagic Syringe isn't so simple to talk about, however. While the 16-second timer for a health state was strong, I wouldn't argue it needed a rework per se. Just give it a longer timer, like 60 seconds, to put it on par with perks like Clean Break. There's no reason an item add-on should be a quarter of the speed to heal a health state than a whole perk is. However, instead, behavior gave the syringe an arguably even stronger effect, which is to immediately remove exhaustion. So now, instead of potential value, it's guaranteed value. And if you don't believe that's stupid, watch what happens when you pair a syringe with Sprint Burst and Bloodlust. Now that pathing and stuff wasn't close to optimized, and they dropped 2 pallets, but that basically wasted literally a minute and 15 seconds, which is enough for a generator to be completed by one person by itself, simply by holding W. If they'd stayed in loops, it would have been even longer by a wide margin, as you're able to close the distance between these loops much easier. But you're seeing my point. Think even if you paired this with the Blighted Serum add-on for medkits, an M1 killer is not catching your ass. This cannot go to live. They need to make the syringe take longer to heal. That's it. No one asked for Blood Rush as an item. Now, onto the anti-tunnel changes. They're not atrocious, but there's definitely some tweaks I'd make before live. However, there is the massive issue of them being abusable, which I've experienced plenty of on the PTB over the last 2 days. Most of the buffs they presented to survivors after a hook are still present, such as the 10% haste, endurance, and elusive. However, the issue is that they remove the no collision the survivors got after unhooking, and I literally cannot see why. Some people bring up the issue of the fresh off hook survivor standing in the hitbox of another survivor and dropping pallets for them, but that is such a negligible issue, especially considering that survivor would need to match the other survivor's pace exactly, which just isn't happening. There is no way you can convince me that this situation of them standing in the hitbox is more annoying than some dickhead body blocking a doorway with base kit BT, knowing there's fuck all you can do about it. This no collision needs to come back if they're going to push this 1,000,000%. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that these effects last for 30 seconds, which is ludicrous. That's literally base kit off the record. But these changes wouldn't be so bad if they weren't so abusable. Let's use this scenario. I hook one survivor. They get off hook because of Wicked and Resurgence and are fully healed. More on that later. I down someone else who deliberately goes down in an open field, and the dickhead fresh off hook won't leave the area because they know I can't get them because they have haste and endurance for 30 seconds. They know I also can't hear them because of elusive, and they're free to prevent pickups entirely. Oh, and guess what? That person who's on the ground, they're also getting anti-slug, which I'll talk on in a second. That's not me tunneling. That's me getting fucked by base kit mechanics. And before some of you go, oh, that's a niche scenario. No, the fuck it's not. You don't think 99% of games are full of the exact same perks and items doing the exact same shit? But for this scenario specifically, all it takes is one flashlight and that scenario is possible. That is not tunneling. That is abusing a system that is piss easy to abuse. Honestly, this is just yet another belief from behavior that survivors are these angels who need to be protected. Every single anti-tunnel thing has been weaponized at this point, and they need to be implementing fail-safes for these scenarios. The amount of times I face someone with conviction under a pallet or someone getting in a locker with DS, these scenarios should not be possible. I agree hard tunneling needs to be counted, but every single fucking method they implement has been weaponized every time and they never learn. In short, I'm saying these features will be fine if they disable the ability to be aggressive with them, make it so if you use an item or spend too much time near a down survivor, your effects go away, and make it so you can't use DS out of a locker. Decisive is meant to be an anti-tunnel perk, not a way for you to make flashlight saves uncounterable. In my opinion, the only tunneling that actually needs to be changed is hard tunneling, where you go for Dwight, kick a gen, go for Dwight, and then go for Dwight. If someone dies before four hook states, that's bad. Anything else, fair game. If you're at 2 gens left, why should the game dictate who you should chase? The game's close to the end game anyway, so why should you be restricted from picking chases? This also brings into question the scenarios where someone saves a survivor and then hides in a locker. You're effectively down 2 survivors that you can chase due to base kit mechanics, which is just absurd. I don't even need to bring up the body blocking situations after hook, but I'm going to anyway. Again, because it's actually stupid that survivors off hook will have 10% haste and endurance and can prevent you from chasing someone else, and if you try to go for them, you basically can't unless you're a high mobility killer. Behavior keep claiming that they want to lower the divide between high tier killers and weak killers. Behavior keep claiming that they want to lower the divide between high tier killers and weak killers, but every single change that they make is in direct contradiction of this philosophy, and you know what solidifies that? The killer unique hook bonuses. Now, when you hook a survivor that's different to the last hooked survivor, the killer gains Bloodlust tier 1 for 15 seconds and gets extra BP. That's it? Not even haste? Fucking Bloodlust? For someone who's newer, I can see the BP bonus being a good incentive. For me, I couldn't give a fuck. I have everyone in the game at Prestige 3 or higher, and the only reason I even bother spending blood points is because I'm close to Prestige 100 in Carnegie. Why remove the base kit pop, which incentivized not running gen perks? Why turn the haste into Bloodlust? The devs state, and I quote, why Bloodlust? Because haste stacked with killer powers, which made stronger killers even stronger, widening the gap between them and weaker killers. Reusing Bloodlust means that the killers who use their powers, nurse, ghoul, etc., will lose the bonus, while killers who are typically using their basic attack more will keep it for the full duration. Yeah, bullshit. Let's look at some footage of M1 killers using their movement ability straight after a hook, which is their literal only traversal tool. Yes. Nice.
Lower the gap between high tier and low tier killers.
Yeah, Behavior, you've got no fucking clue what you're talking about. Why is fucking Sadako, Dredge, Ghostface, and Wraith being punished because of these changes? You even had the right idea with the original iteration by only giving 5% haste and less of a base kit pop and shorter aura read on high mobility killers, while weaker killers got 10% haste instead. Why backpedal on that to give us this shit that you claim lowers the gap between strong and weak killers when all it really does is fuck all? Springtrap can't even use his haste after leaving a door. It's a clusterfuck. There needs to be a serious change to these benefits because I genuinely do not see a reason to bother spreading hooks, especially now that only one of your perks that incentivizes doing it is getting gutted. Penalties being removed was a no-brainer, obviously. Giving agency to players made the game interesting, which they literally state in this same paragraph, but I digress. Slugging changes got announced too, and they're actually pretty good now. I actually don't see too much of an issue with them. Maybe I'm oblivious to something, but I think they're decently healthy. They've been designed in a way that doesn't punish you for slugging to stop saves, but does punish you for mass slugging, which is kind of what it should do. However, there was a clip from Epidemi, which I think showcases scenarios where the anti-slug should not be in place.
My friends? Oh, nice. Oh. Ready for that base kit UV? There it is. Why would I get rewarded for that? They get base kit UV for the entire game now, by the way, so now I can't ever slug again. If I slug at all for the entire rest of the game, they have all base kit UV. Nice.
Anyway, to explain what they do, now that once you've been downed, a bar appears, and after 120 cumulative seconds, you can pick yourself up once recovery is full. Said bar also fills faster the more people are on the ground, but this, again, will end up, it's cumulative. It's not just one bar that you have to do each time you get down. This is 120 seconds, and then you have base kit borrow time, base kit unbreakable for the entire game. This is just going to be abused in Swifts, and yeah, there's not much I can say more about that. It's relatively dumb change. I think if all 4 survivors are done, then they should down at once, then they shouldn't be able to pick themselves up. That's just, you can DC at that point, just DC, bro. But I digress. Now onto perk changes, and oh boy, do I have some choice words for these. What the fuck? The only killer perk change is Furtive, and we discussed that they gutted it. And then they giga-buffed a bunch of survivor perks, but also did change some, I will admit, in a good way. But onto the bad ones first. Babysitter, now instead of its old effect that they nerfed anyway because they made it base kit, lets you see the killer's aura for 30 seconds. What? That's fucking stupid! that effectively deletes 2 survivors from being able to be chased entirely. One survivor has base kit anti-tunnel and will see you when you come close. The other survivor will also see your every move. I don't know what they're smoking to decide 30 seconds was an intelligent number to put on that, but Jesus Christ. Breakdown's time to break the hook got lowered from 180 to 90, which is good. That perk was pretty unhealthy on some maps, but it got buffed to also give a reverse will make it to you, so other survivors heal you faster. Honestly, I would think this is a good change if we weren't already in the most stupidly heal-based meta in years, with botany, desperate measures, and resurgence being everywhere. OTR got nerfed again, which is I don't see why. It felt fine at 40 seconds, but now it's just you get the elusive effect for 80 seconds because they made its regular effect base kit. I mean, like, okay. No one's running it now, but that's largely because its effects are made base kit, so... Borrowed time is actually quite interesting now because it actually gives Unbreakable to a survivor when you unhook them for 100 seconds. I actually like that. I think that's a fun little change and adds a kind of unique dynamic to hooks. I actually quite like it. The perk we need to talk about, though, is Wicked. It keeps its old effect of acting as a guaranteed self-unhook, but they removed the aura read after an unhook. But you know why they did that? Because it's now fucking base kit. But now, the perk also gives you an immediate 50% healing progress, meaning paired with Resurgence, it is a full heal straight off hook. What the fuck even is that? I cannot fathom how behavior thinks that's a good idea. I tested this as well, and because the heal is instant, you keep the full effects of the anti-tunnel, means you have 3 health states immediately off hook and 30 seconds of endurance and haste. Like, bruh. The other good perk change though is Conviction, which got nerfed. Fucking finally. They took their sweet ass fucking time. So now it only activates if you've healed another survivor, so no expo or plot twist spam to instantly farm it. However, it needs to be discussed the blatant bias behavior you're having towards survivors. I like to discuss more about the balance issues on this channel rather than bringing it up, but especially with the recent satisfaction survey asking why people quit. And I want you to have a look at this. I want you to see if there's a single question pertaining to killer experience. Oh, there isn't one? Huh. Curious. I don't know about you guys, but I got some friends jumping into Dead by Daylight recently who don't dare touch Killer, because every time they do, the millisecond the survivors get the idea they're new, it's like sharks with a drop of blood. They make sure to make the killer's life absolutely miserable. This is in part due to the dog shit MMR system behavior puts in place, sure, but they cannot be making the bias this obvious. There are so many things on both sides. I'm not saying the survivor experience needs to be diminished. There are so many things on both sides that fucking suck to face, but it's stupid that they're specifically only targeting the survivor experience. Oh, and they gutted Pinhead by making him not be able to chain anyone who has endurance. Sick. So you made him C tier. Good job. And added the vomit filter from Fallen Refuge to every Auto Heaven map. Do they fucking have a dartboard of shit ideas and just fucking piff darts at it and whatever one they fucking hit gets put into the live? I swear to God, that's the literal only fucking explanation they could have for this. Honestly though, behavior needs to get their head out of their ass because it's glaringly obvious they don't play their own game, let alone the killer role. Think back to even March, where they attempted to gut the Xenomorph, likely because a dev played against them and didn't know how to use fucking turrets. Ugh. Anyway, I could be here all day discussing this. Thanks so much for watching. I do feel like I'm forgetting something somehow, though. It's probably nothing. Anyway, please let your feedback for this chat update be known, so behavior does not push it to live, because obviously we know from the palette density changes that because the tunneling changes overshadowed them, they got brought to live. So make sure to yap about this. But also, revert furtive, revert furtive, revert furtive.